Back here, spiders have almost moved in. We're going to change out these Ultegra cranks. This has just been got some commuter pedals in there. These are a good pedal, the Shimano A530. If you're a Duran Rider fan back in the day, you probably would have had a pair of these on your bike if you first got into road cycling. So they're good because it's like a flat. And Tasha did. These are actually your pedals.
Those are mine, I reckon.
I think they are. Yeah, so these are good. And we've just got a little, it's been in the Bicycle Express and it's got some cable. We've got a sort of a bike commuting. We've got park tools. I've lost my bottom bracket puller and it goes in here. So these ones are pretty easy to remove. Tools we need today, 8mm. A couple of these, this is what we're putting on there. We've got some near new old stock. I think it's about $50, and including bottom bracket against 10-speed Dura-Ace. It's not compact, but for my riding in Adelaide, it's going to be fine. And we're going to take this 9-speed Ultegra. It's got a Dura-Ace bottom bracket on there. You can tell because it's got the little collars both sides. Ultegra only has it on one side, but this should be able to pull it out. Let's get going. First, we're going to remove. Generally, it's better to take your pedals off, but these pedals are pretty light. Take your pedals off first before you remove the crank, in case you can't get pedals off. And we're going to take these Shimano cranks off. So just a self-extracting crank. So you just turn it to the left, is left loosey, righty tighty. There we go. Just slowly pulling off the crank there. You can sort of see. These are pretty easy to work with cranks back in the day. Actually, this might be hard to pull off with those that ring on there. Actually, I've been pulling these Dura-Ace 7700 BBs out for a number of years. I might actually need an external tool for that. That could be a lock ring on there. Crank off. We've got little baby faces join another little cat. This is a classic. Look at this. Look at this, eh? Baby cat's Ultegra. You weren't born not too long ago, were you? So it's a 170. It's the old FC 6500, and it says on there, you can sort of see the 03. That means it's suitable for a triple crank as well. Had the same Q factor as a triple crank. So a bit of useless info there, but if you're a bike mechanic, look at it's so like primitively pressed in. But these Ultegra cranks, man, they were so strong. They didn't crack. These, I did crack a few of these Dura-Ace 7700s, and they would crack. I'd be doing big wing efforts in them, and they would crack through the sides here. I did 2 or 3 of them, and their local Shimano rep was like, "What are you doing, man? How are you cracking these cranks?" So yeah, but they warranted them, no worries. Any Shimano crank will always have the model number and the length. So if you ever bring a power meter on here, like your Stages power meter with your new Holotech cranks, you have to make sure you get the same length. So you got 172, 172. And if you're ever buying cranks as well, if you're buying a second-hand bike, make sure, just do a double check, make sure that it's got a, this is a 1725, make sure it's also, it might be 170, might be mismatched. Right? So if you're buying second-hand bikes, always check that someone at some point didn't do a dodgy or a mistake and put the wrong length crank on there. It happens. It's rare, but it does happen. It does happen. So you can mismatch Ultegra and Shimano, Dura-Ace, etc. That's okay, but make sure that you've got the same length crank. And this is the Holotech design, Octolink. So these won't be compatible with your Stages power meter at all. But it's a decent system. Quite heavy, but back in the day it was alright. Boo Boo's entered the chat. Boo Boo, hey? Boo Boo's got a good sense of the Dura-Ace quality. She's part Japanese, or she does like Japanese food. These wheels are the WH 7850. They were before the carbon ones came out. There's an alloy and alloy. Very nice wheel these are. They are very nice wheel. Got titanium free hub body, scandium alloy rim with an offset. These are sort of like, yeah, these are actually pretty decent wheel. Alright, so other things, well, if you're doing your cranks, we've taken this Ultegra crank off. And this is not original factory grease, by the way. Original factory Shimano grease is like, it's yellow, green. Boo Boo, you're looking for some Japanese food. She's quite the fat cat. She's quite the fat puss. But this Trek had some yellow grease in it. It was very good condition as well, with the old French-made Mavics. And the ADD, we've got to get sidetracked here. So the Shimano grease is yellow-green, and it's quite good. So whenever you put new chain rings on, again, or if you've got a second-hand bike, just make sure the person put the chain rings on the right way. And you generally see this little arrow here means on the arm, the arrow, and there'll be, there'll be numbers inside that match. Shimano's pretty good like that. They'll have numbers that will match on. So if the chain was turned on the other side, it won't shift as good. It won't shift as good typically. And you sort of see there. So there's little things you look for. Little things that on second-hand bikes, people just make mistakes, or they're in a rush, or they didn't have enough carbs, and they put it on wrong. You want to check your chainring bolts, tension as well, and make sure she's all good. Boo boo. A little boo boo face, eh? She's a fat little puss. There's the figs. The figs are the start of the fruit. Beautiful. And so we've got a 9-speed derail on here as well, a 9-speed Tegra. And you can see there's a little paint crack. Alright. Little paint crack. These were common to have paint cracks around there, and also around here, just where the Shimano is. You still see another paint crack through there. That's just where the Bond is. That's totally fine. It's not going to separate there. But yeah, some people go, oh my god, it's cracked, mate. Warranty. Back in the day, Trek may have warranted that, but I definitely wouldn't worry about that, because these days, because I know it's just going to get a landfill. Yeah, you might be able to get a warranty on that, but it's not going to fail. You know, and this beautiful bike is going to get stomped on and chucked to landfill, stuff like that. So it's just purely paint, purely cosmetic, and it's no worries at all. It's not a safety concern. It's just what the bonding is. But again, some people, oh, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I'll still ride it. It's not going to fail on you. The seat tube's not even a really, it's not a real high stress area either. It's just going to get a little bit of flex, but that's a paint crack. Totally fine. But hey, these are things you would look for. And because I know this bike so well, that was a very common area they had. And even around here, they'd have a few paint cracks as well. But mostly here, and especially here, and especially on that left side chainstay. Got the BB 7700, this bad boy's coming off. Little park tool on here. See if we can get it out. Yeah, it's a pretty fucking weird culture, definitely.
But in the men's ones, they must all fuck each other behind the curtain.
I think you're right. I think the guys are
It's not normal.
dipping their bottom brackets in each other. That's what you're into. That's what you're into.
Craig does it and he's like,
Oh mate, he'd be all over that.
it looks like a radioactive Ken doll.
We got him on. Just had to go down to Bicycle Express, see Mike and the gang to get this bad boy off. I had to just use a little Pedro's tool. It's a 5-prong tool. 5-prong tool. It's got 6 prongs, but this one had 5 on it. It got it off. It's very, very soft. So, bit of a butcher job there by me. It's got needle bearings in there as well. And Mike was just saying that they use these in the track, take the seals out, and just use oil instead of grease for a real fast, spinning track BB. So a little, there you go. It's pretty classic old logos there. This is the axle that comes in as well. There's an axle there. So this one's in pretty good condition. I'll get a bit of a clean up for another bike, but yeah, it's okay for running for 9-speed Dura-Ace cranks. We can do that. But here we got the 10s on there. I reckon these are the best cranks Shimano ever made in terms of aesthetic, stiffness, weight, durability. These ones, I haven't seen one of these crack yet. So yeah, but it's a beautiful looking crank. And the new 12-speed has got similar to rings, that sort of scalloping. I think it's a bit of a nod to the era. But yeah, Lance Armstrong, and he made this crank set famous back in the day. We do have a 9-speed derail in there if anyone's picked it up yet. Beautiful, look at that. That's amazing, isn't it? Beautiful. And looking down at that BB, this is, I reckon this is the best looking bottom bracket setup with the Trek 5000 series with just that smoothing, and you got that external. I remember the first day I had these in 2004, 2005 was my first time I got the 7800 crank, and I remember riding my Trek 5500 at the time. The US Postal looking down, going, man, it looks so good. Yeah, it just feels, a bit better, bit of a wider platform. Not that makes a difference really, but it looks cool. Nostalgia days, nostalgia, It's amazing for these cranks being 19 years old, how good condition they're in. There's so much good stuff out there for so cheap. Thanks for that.